You're having a amazing day. I am doing really well. I have a couple things that I want to discuss with you, and one of them is how I shut things down for the winter. So yes, we actually had snow today. So I had to rush outside and add a couple more bags of mulch to a couple plants, not a couple, well, half a dozen or so plants that I moved due to a project that we had going on. And so without further ado, here we go. So the first thing I want to do is ask you guys for your opinion. We need a name for this setup that I created for our raised bed mobile container gardening. Okay, is that the name? Raised bed mobile container gardening? So here you go. This is what it looks like. What it looks like is this. So as you guys know, I grew everything from basil to various types of salad greens to actual collard mustard greens, potatoes, the list went on in these setups. The setup is there's a four-wheel trolley at the bottom, which you probably can't see because it's hella way at the bottom. And all of that trolley, it holds a container that has the soil in it. Obviously, the soil is underneath. Look how dark and yummy it looks. It's so healthy. It's so nice. And it's the right moisture. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. So what I did is I used these for all of my food gardening this season. I would say 80 to 90% of the food that I grew in these containers. Other places in the yard, yes, there are different places where I planted some viable edibles, aka onion and legal things, people, because it's not legal in all of the states, the other type of edibles that some people might be thinking about. But anyway, and then what happens is this particular container has a series of holes drilled in it so water can run through. It sits inside of this container, which is the same exact size. And inside of that container, I add 8 bricks that are strategically spread out so that this container is completely raised up. So not just sitting in a pool of water inside of this container. So in the winter, or for winterizing, I should say, and at the end of the season means first frost is coming. Things are going to be below 32 degrees on a regular basis. So if you know that your plants are finished for the season, but it's going to be 42 degrees every day, you don't have to do this. The only thing you really have to do is add mulch to it. And I'm using our pine needles as mulch in here, but you can actually use regular mulch if you want to. Some people might even get creative and use, a mixture of things such as shredded cardboard, leaves, actual mulch, compost, whatever makes sense to you. That's what you put in here. But what I did before adding the pine needles is I added eggshell. I had a few nutshells, some peels from garlic, onion, and turmeric, as well as ginger that had dried out, and everything was nice and dry and crunchy, so no mold was going to occur. The eggshells, I told you guys how I deal with those, and the nutshells, mixed everything up, put them in this soil that existed, and look at it, it's already super dark. You can't even really, it's like everything's broken down so quickly. There's a few earthworms in every container. Yes, people, worms are good, and I'm not afraid of them. And then, as you can see, I topped it with this pine needle mulch that actually just came out of our yard. And yeah, there's leaves in there, and that's fine. And something is trying to sprout over here. Actually, this is the remnants of a plant, so I guess I'll leave it in there just to see what happens with it. You know me and my experiments. Got to see what'll happen. but we'll leave that in there, see what happens with it. And then what you do is simply cover it with a container that used to catch the water. Make sure it's sealed all the way around. Now, some people might be like, oh my God, want to get moldy inside? No, because we live in New England. We had a couple freezing days, but the really frozen tundra days are upon us. So no, nothing will turn moldy in there. The only reason that something would get moldy is if the spring comes, we wait for it to get too warm, and we don't uncover these. And yes, the soil has been watered a little bit. You don't want it to be overly wet, because then it'll just turn into a soppy, soupy, weird, muddy, maybe even a clay type mess. So, and you can always go out and check these every once in a while. If the soil seems to be getting a bit dry, just add a little bit of water. Use your watering can just to sprinkle some on the top. You don't need to mix it in or anything like that. Right over the top of your mulch, just sprinkle it in. Then I just take the bricks that I use for this system when I'm growing food and use them on the outside of it, just to hold the lids down, because it gets very windy here. And we actually went through, I'm going to say 3 days of crazy winds. And that's why we, as you can see, lose trees. There's a tree there, there's a tree there, and there's one way out there. I don't know if you see the dark roots of it. So yeah, that's common around here. So if you don't want this stuff blowing all over the place, you have to find a way to secure it. And why not use what you already had? So that's one of the things I like about the system that I tried to be creative with, is it's very self-containing. I don't have to strap it down or do anything crazy with it. And what I just did for this system, I did for all the others. Another thing I did this season is I put some more stones around some of the border areas in the yard. I won't show you all of them. You'll just be completely bored. What else did I do? Over here, I shored up our natural terrace walls by simply adding more stone, and I believe it was close to 2,000 pounds, if not more, of soil is packed in, as well as, yes, you see the pine needles we used as mulch, because we will plant about 20 pounds or more of wildflower seeds along this particular wall. This one right here that goes, and that's our leaching field where it's green, and you could even see it kind of looks a little discombobulated. That's because it's super wet down there. And where you see this other line of mulch, that will have some grass seed going in there. Over here at the storage house, one of the things I did is I added, which I don't think you can see it, I tried to enlarge it a little bit. I added chicken wire all the way around, tucked it underneath, because we had a family of rabbits that lived in there, and they had like 3-4 ways they were coming and going, as well as the fact that we do have, I don't know, I think they're bobcat. We have fox, fisher cat, bear, and other wild coyote that will definitely eat the crap out of these little dudes. So I really don't want, and I could tell that something was aggressively digging under 2 areas here and one on the other side. And I was like, yep, nope, not again, not this season. And I know it's been like that for season after season, but the aggression, and plus we actually see a bobcat occasionally go through here, as well as in the winter. You'll see the footprints. And I was like, yeah, we're just going to protect the little rabbits. They'll have to live here, out in the forest. There's plenty of space. And actually that bundle of bushes right there is one of their homes. And so and plus we have those are our bushes and landscaping over there as well. And they also live in there. So why they decided to or decide to live under here. I have no idea, but whatever. And it may be various rabbits. So anyway, we also moved, or I moved, I should say, lots of plants around. So this area used to have this crazy bush, which I actually liked for many years, but then the bush just got out of control and there was too much grass growing in it. It just wasn't, I hate to say this, it wasn't worth me maintaining it anymore, and I wasn't really getting any pleasure from it. And so I decided it had to go, so it went. And so now we have lilies, hyacinths, daffodils, all sorts of flowers that will grow over here, as well as this berry bush, which I moved over here, and the birds have been having a party on this bush, which is great. We have a lot of blue jays this season. Every other season or two, we have tons of blue jays, or we have tons of cardinals. I don't know why. We also have a myriad of other birds as well as some of the big prey birds. But it's just weird how many I will look out the window and there will be so many blue jays, I can't count them. Or so many cardinals, I can't count them. But like I said, they do take turns coming and going every season. So I don't know what that's about. I think I read somewhere that cardinals and blue jays are really the same bird. I don't know if that's true. I guess I should do more research into that. And it's starting to snow again, which is really cool. And here is our American hazelnut tree, which has done really well so far this season. And it only has a couple leaves left at the top to lose. I probably could just pick those off by flicking them lightly. I planted or transplanted these giant bushes. They're pretty large. They grow up to, I believe, 25 feet tall, but they're super easy to maintain because the branches get no thicker than this. So you can actually look at them 25 feet tall and just snip them right down from this level and you're set. But I moved them here so that, honestly, so I don't have to do that anymore. So they can just grow to wild abandon here at the edge of the road. And, it is what it is. More rock bordering. This is our daughter's rock garden, which she created when she was like, I'm going to say 7, 8 years old. And so it's endured all of these years. And what I did here is I actually added a few surprise new plants for her that will grow up with the existing plants in there. And you guys will have to come along next season to see what those are. But I did add some more rocks to the edge. And a lot of these rocks are from our yard, of course, but also from different states, different beaches. We even have some shells in there. I remember someone walked by and they were like, "Is that a seashell?" And then they were like, "Wait, you have a few seashells and clam shells." I was like, "Yeah, they're just from various islands and places that we've been." But anyway, I digress. So over here, what we have is another transplant. And we have our berry bushes. These will take God only knows how long to become mature. You can barely see it, but it's like there's sticks in there. Those are good. They're viable. And what else? Oh, let's go over here. So over here, what you will see is a new walkway. That was the project that was being worked on for months, like 2 months. I think it was 2 months or 2.5? It was longer than it really had to be because it was kind of like this guy's side gig or whatever, which was fine. I mean, we had different crazy weather situations and he couldn't work on it when he worked on it when he could work on it, and I was totally fine with that. And so what I did is I had 1.5 feet added to the existing walkway that was here. So this is wider than what was here, and then this area was completely widened out, and I also had it slightly more stylized, whereas before it was more rectangular. Now we have flanges, we have curves, And we have my favorite straightaway. So if you were doing a wedding or some kind of ceremony, you actually could walk side by side without an issue, whether you're skinny or you're not skinny. I also, as I told you guys, moved tons of plants. So if you remember what this area looked like, it was twice this size, like twice this thickness. And what I did is I had some room added to this side and took some space from this side, plus the space that was added for widening the walkway. And this is what it looks like now. Yes, it needs to be mulched. It needs to be edged. But guess what? It's basically, my hand is freezing. It's so cold out here right now. And that won't happen until the spring or whenever. So the other thing I could show you is I also had the front porch completely redone. Let's see if I could walk out to a spot that makes sense. So I had the front porch completely redone so that, I mean, it would make no sense to do the walkway and not do the porch. And like I said, I don't know if I said this, but I've been going for this arts and craft vibe. So, you know, something a little more rustic. Everything that we do or I design or whatever is usually so proper. So I wanted something a little more in line with nature. And whenever you have something like this done, make sure that you don't just look at the front of it, because most of the people that I spoke to, and yes, I designed this, they were okay with doing whatever I wanted, but then they would question the fact that there's a lip right here. So you see this upper part, and then you can see an indent. That's a lip at the bottom. Most of them were like, oh, but you don't need to do the lip. You could just bring the mulch all the way up. No, have them go all the way down and all the way around the left and right side of your porch. Because otherwise, to me, and this is how I am, I have this critical eye, and I'm about, you know, all about the details, the accuracy, etc. It will just look incredibly incomplete. So don't let them do that to you. So what else can I show you? That's really it as far as, you know, prepping for the winter. The plants have, and this is that French drain I was telling you guys about. That was the other thing I had them do, is we used to have a system that ran into this planting bed and it would water it, which was awesome. But what would happen, especially in the winter, and we have a decently sized house, when you have a lot of roof, that means that you're going to get a lot of water. So we would get more water in this area than what we needed. So what would happen is then the water would land here in this area, creating a miniature skating rink. We actually, one year, our daughter, who used to do lots of figure skating, put on her skates and actually skated in this area. So yeah, that's not good. It's too icy, and then we wouldn't want people to enter the house this way because, hello, iciness. So what happened is we had a drainage pipe added, and it goes underneath this walkway. I don't remember how many feet deep it is. I want to say it's 3 feet deep, maybe 2.5, 3 feet, and then it comes out over here to this drain where it automatically pops up when it's full of water, and it closes when it's not. So you don't have to worry about doing anything to it whatsoever. So that's pretty much it. I did some work out here. We call this the big stone, and as soon as this truck goes by, I will flash it. So we have this gigantic stone here, and I did do a lot of work around there as far as like thinning out plants, basically is what I did. I thinned out a lot of plants, chopped some stuff up. That's a gigantic rhododendron. There's like 3 of them that grew there together. Obviously, we had them put in when they were young, and now they're super seniors, I guess. And what I'm going to do next season is probably remove one of them, but it is too late in the season now to do that without damaging the plant. So you're looking at the butterfly bush, one of the 2. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you come back next season to see more of my gardening mishaps and and whatever craziness I plan on doing, and the experiments, as well as things that definitely work. But in the meantime, obviously, stay tuned. You know that we do a lot with the reselling, eBay, antiques, unique collectibles, buttons, just everyday family fun, fanfare, and life. So hopefully you guys have subscribed to the channel. Leave a comment down below, especially a suggestion as to what we should name those planting systems. And just an FYI, I purchased 2 more setups like that, so I'm ready to really hit the road running next season. My husband is like giggling so hard, but I loved how those worked this year. I was honestly pleasantly surprised, and the only thing I will do is work out some system to remove or drain out the excess water, but that's pretty easy to figure out. There's like a lot of solutions for that. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember that your health is your wealth, and without your health you have absolutely nothing. So please take care of yourselves and have a wonderful day as it continues snowing here.